Danny, it's been a couple weeks since I had you on, but it feels like an eternity because the off season is crazy, man. I do several weekly, updates on moves that are being rumored with MLS teams, and it feels like it's mostly Inter Miami. I mean, how you felt about this offseason so far, my
I
friend?
don't think it's mostly Inter Miami. I just think that they have the most recognizable names. So I think that's why it seems like it's Miami, right? Like that's why everybody's like, oh my god, what's going on? But it's been fun. It's the rich get richer, right? Because you're the defending champs, and then the defending champs get the goalie of the year. They're rumored to get the defensive player of the year. I could see why other fan bases are upset because that's something that hasn't been seen very often in the MLS before this.
Yeah, most teams who win MLS Cup normally get worse the following year because they have to get rid of a lot of guys. And I sit here January the 7th, and I feel like Inter Miami's gotten better than they were in 2025. And we're going to talk about it, each position.
But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, Will, because we need to talk about this. Where is this nonsense that teams get worse after they win the championship? Because they decide to move on? Because they decide to get bigger? Like, we won the championship, and guess what? We lost two legends. We lost Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets. Technically, we got worse if you look at it like that.
Hey, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Guys, we are getting closer and closer to 12,000 subscribers. And with your help, I know we will reach that goal. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Now, back to the video. Well, I don't know. I think both of those guys were kind of on their last legs. I don't know. I think if they played this year, I don't even think they would be taking the Luis Suárez route where they would probably fall off.
No, Jordi Alba was top of his game. Maybe Sergio Busquets, because Sergio Busquets was looking slow, but Jordi Alba was still balling at the top of his game. Not prime
he's still great, but you got to think, Danny, when you're getting in the late 30s, man, you could fall off a hill. Like it could be literally the next year. Look at Luis Suárez, 2024, he had 21 goals. This year, now people say the way he's used. Either way, he definitely took a step down. You can just fall off any given year when you get into that age range. But when it comes to Major League Soccer teams, when they win a championship, a lot of them have to make changes. Maybe a guy is asking for more money. There are these roster bonuses from winning MLS Cup where they can't afford to keep certain guys. The LA Galaxy had to move off Jovic. They had to move off Brugman.
Didn't they get Ramirez back?
What do you mean?
Didn't they get Christian Ramirez?
He wasn't there with the championship team, though.
I know, but I'm saying, but they replaced him. It's not. I understand players move, but that's every team. Players move after a season.
Yeah, but I'm saying historically, good teams like the teams that win have to get rid of certain guys. This is credit to credit to Inter Miami.
No, because this is the crap that I've been hearing all day. So what about Columbus when they won it 2 years ago? Who did they lose? They didn't lose anybody.
They didn't lose any. They didn't lose. Let me try to think about this for a second. I mean, that was 3 years ago that they had it. That they won MLS Cup. When LAFC won in 2022, Gareth Bale couldn't stay. Christian Teo
didn't want him back. He wouldn't have even started the final if he didn't go into extra time.
He chose not to come back, though.
They didn't want him back.
There were several players, though. Sifu Fuentes, he didn't come back.
I don't remember who Sifu Fuentes is, to be honest with you.
The midfielder?
I don't remember.
Sifu, you don't remember him? Well, anyway, this has been a thing, though. A lot of players. I mean, Mayo Yoshida, the center back, he was making. I think he was making like almost $1 million last year for the Galaxy, and he had to take a pay cut. That was the only way they could bring him back. He's making like $500,000 or $600,000 a year. I'm not saying that it really depends on how good your cap flexibility is, but Miami's killing it this offseason. They're not taking a step back. I think they're going to be better, and I want to talk to you about that because you hit on this earlier. They got the goalkeeper of the year. It looks like they get the center back of the year, which that has been kind of a hot topic today.
Yeah, conflicting reports there, yeah.
Conflicting reports depending on if you believe the MLS guy or if you believe the person who's normally 100% on Inter Miami stuff. But let's start with this, right? Inter Miami in 2025 won MLS Cup. I didn't think they were going to at a certain point. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. You always remind me of this, but Matteo Silvetti came out of nowhere and really turned things around, I think. Or Luis Suárez kicking Andy Nahar is really what saved everything, right? Either way, the back line has always been shaky for Inter Miami.
Yeah.
And now not only have they improved the back line, but they got the best goalkeeper arguably in the league, man. So that's scary. Let's start off with Dayne St. Clair. I don't even remember if he was announced last time we talked.
No, he wasn't.
How big of a deal was that to get him?
That's huge because one of the biggest question marks going into last year was the goalkeeping, because some people had lost faith in Drake. I thought that Drake was fine. He just wasn't great with his feet, which Dayne St. Clair is apparently not either. But everybody was questioning Drake's prowess with his feet because we like to play out of the back. But he was a good shot stopper. They brought in Ustadi, which was like a 50-year-old veteran. And during the preseason, Drake got injured. Ustadi won the job because he played well in the preseason and the first couple games of the season. And then he kind of fell off a cliff. And it was really like it ended up going bad very quickly. And then the only backup we had outside of Drake was Rocco Rio Novos, which is on the smaller side. He hadn't really had any MLS experience. He played for Atlanta's United's academy. Then he went and he won a USL championship with the Phoenix Rising, I believe. So we didn't know what to expect from him. Nobody was really happy. Everybody thought of him as a backup. But our goalkeeping situation was, I think, one of the biggest question marks. So coming into this year with what is arguably the best keeper in the league, I mean, that's when you have one of your weaknesses when you're the championship team and then you shore it up with the best keeper in the league. I mean, all good things. And everybody's really excited that now we don't have that question anymore. We're not questioning who is going to be the keeper or can we trust the keeper. I would want to say that, I mean, maybe not playing out of the back yet because I've heard that he's not great with his feet, but shot stopping, which is what matters to me, he's one of the best.
A+ signing. I got the best goalkeeper on a free transfer from Minnesota United, a guy who really helped them, I don't want to say become relevant, but he was a key piece in Minnesota United's success in 2023, 2024, and 2025. And now he plays for Inter Miami, and I think he signed, what, a 2.5, 3-year deal?
I thought it was a 1-year deal.
I thought it was longer than that. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is a 1-year deal. Maybe he just wanted to play on a team that maybe could raise his profile and give him better options after a season.
Well, one question mark that I have, and I'll pose it to you because you watch a lot of the league in general. One question mark that I have about Dayne St. Clair is, and I know he plays well for the Canadian team, but with Minnesota, they were historically, I think they might have had the least amount of possession percentage-wise in league history. And that was this past season. I think that you don't face as many shots as you would when you're playing on a team that plays a low block like that in Minnesota. I don't think he was tested as much as he's going to be in Miami. In Miami, it's a track meet. Like the transition opportunities for the opposing teams are much more than what he's used to seeing. And I question how he's going to respond to that. Because one thing that I did hear from the Loons, and shout out to Lunacy Podcast, which is somebody that I've been talking to about Dayne St. Clair, they say that he is a bit of a hothead when it comes to his center backs and his defenders when they're caught out of position and they put him in a bad spot. Now you start mouthing off to Falcon and that can get ugly. So I'm wondering how that's going to work because I think that a lot of the reasons that he won Keeper of the Year is also because of the defense that Minnesota was playing, because he didn't have to face as many shots as Ustadi and Drake and Rocco had to do for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the way Inter Miami plays does put the goalkeeper in some bad spots or have to fend for themselves in a lot of situations. And people describe Minnesota United ball as terrorist ball, right? They really do play a defensive system, and I do agree with that to a certain extent. But I've seen him make some acrobatic saves, not just for club but for country too. And I think that with the quality that Inter Miami has added, which we'll talk about in a little bit at center back in the back line, is going to help him. Now, if he was starting with last year's back line, I think he would maybe get exposed and have some issues. But they've obviously done a good enough job to kind of pad the back line to help him out. So I think he'll be fine in 2026. I don't think that maybe his stats won't be not necessarily as many saves because, like you said, he didn't really have a chance to really do a lot of crazy stuff. Sheets. But yes, exactly. I don't know if he'll have as many clean sheets or in 2026 as he did in 2025. But the guy's obviously talented, and I think it's a huge upgrade over Oscar Ustari. And you and I both have been in agreement for a long time that Rocco Rios Novo cannot start 45 games for Inter Miami.
But that's a great backup to have, though.
Great backup. That is perfect. And also they got him back. Let's move on to center back, right? So we'll hit on Tristan Blackman in a second, but they did officially announce Micael, who was a former Houston Dynamo player, got a move after the 24 season to to Palmeiras. And I was talking to my good buddy, tactical manager, who is a Palmeiras fan. He said he struggled with Palmeiras and he ended up getting benched. But I'm not too upset about this because he's only 25 years old. I think he could, maybe it was just a bad fit. I mean, this is a real thing, Danny. Sometimes you just go to the wrong team and you're still a talented player. He had success in MLS with the Houston Dynamo. And if you look, there's a lot of reasons the Dynamo were bad in 2025, but he left and they went from making the playoffs to being a bad team. So I think he was a big part of their regression in 2025. You guys get a 25-year-old center back on loan who many people might think would be the most talented center back on the team.
Without a doubt. That Houston Dynamo's team had allowed the second least goals in the league that year. I think it was like 38. Only Seattle Sounders allowed less. And he was just the star of that back line. And when he left, I talked to a few people from Houston this week about him, and they said they don't want to contribute it only on Micael for the defense falling off, but he was definitely a big reason why. One of the issues that we had is the speed at center back. Falcon is not fast. We play a high line. We're constantly trying to defend the transition. I'm blanking here on the word I was looking for, but he's a pacey 6'3" center back with MLS experience, and that's what you need, because when you get caught out of position and you're playing that high line, you need to be able to get back defensively and get in position. My understanding is that he's a great one-on-one defender. He's a lefty, so he's going to play that left center back role. He's good delivering the ball, so he's good with the ball at his feet. We play out of the back, which is important for us. And he's just going to contribute in a lot of different ways. Noah Allen was a good center back for us. He lacked the size, and when you put Noah Allen and Falcon next to each other, they're both 5'8", 5'9", not necessarily what you want out of your center back duo. So I think that he's going to be an upgrade as far as the size that we've been looking for. He's going to be pacey, so that's going to be great. And again, when you have MLS experience, I feel like that's very important, especially when your goal is to win the CCC, because Falcon, for example, he had a rough start to the year last year. Everybody was talking highly of him, and then when he started the year, it just didn't look. It wasn't what we expected. And second half of the year, he took off, and he was our best defender by far the second half of the year. But it takes people some time to adjust to the MLS. Our goal is to win the CCC. We can't afford to have you kind of go through the growing pains as we're going through the first half of the year, because our goal is the CCC. So having him here with the MLS experience already, I think that that's a plus, because we expect him to come in rocking and rolling, because you got the experience. You don't got to adjust. You know what this is like. And I think that we have a great center back duo, and this is what we needed for that CCC contention.
Well, I want to hit on Tristan Blackman real quick. Now, obviously, you and I aren't journalists or reporters, and we don't pretend to be. So we're not going to get into that. Let's just speculate here and say they do get Tristan Blackman, right? There's conflicting reports that we touched on. First of all, center back of the year, right, or defender of the year, defender of the year in MLS in 2025. But this kind of had me thinking a little bit, Danny. If they sign him and they got Micael and they have Maxi Falcone, it makes me wonder, are they going to play three in the back?
I don't think so. I think that he would be, one, a depth piece, or two, there's a chance that they would move him to right back. He played right back when he was in LA. So he has experience at right back. And one thing that Miami's wanted to do since Mascherano arrived was have players that can play multiple positions. Right?
Lujan, right?
The Swiss Army knife Lujan, for those of you that watch Battered Herons. So Lujan, the selling point with Lujan was that he played center back and right back. Now we have Noah Allen, which is now a backup. Technically, with Micael, we would assume at least he's a backup. But he's a true fullback. He's a true left back. But he played a full season at left center back. So we have multiple players. Ian Frey played right back. He's a true center back. So we have a tendency to have players that can play both those positions, just so we can mix and match whenever needed. And I think that Tristan Blackman would fit that if he were to come. Right? We don't know if that's happening. There's conflicting reports. Maybe it is. Maybe he doesn't. But if he does, I don't know if he's a starter. I'm sure he'll get spot starts, because Miami played 56, 58 games last year. A lot of 3 games in a span of 7 days. very often. So I wouldn't be surprised if you add somebody of quality, because what I've been telling everybody's looking at what Inter Miami's doing and they're saying, wow, this is like overkill. You're far better than the rest of the MLS rosters when you're just looking at the rosters, which is fine. But they're not building this team and doing all these things to win the MLS Cup. They're doing this to compete with the Liga MX teams that don't have these salary restraints. So they're building these teams for the CCC, for the Leagues Cup. They're not worried about the second star. That's not why they're building these teams. They're doing this for that reason. And what do? Pedro Vita left Vancouver, one of the best midfielders, one of the best players in the MLS last year. He leaves, and Puma has him as a depth piece. Like, he's not starting. But that's what Liga MX teams have the capability of doing. So what is Miami looking to do? They're also looking to stack up, because they can only compete with the Liga MX teams if they also have a stacked roster. So I understand why 29 other fan bases are upset. It makes sense. I wouldn't tell them not to be upset, because I get it. But Miami's not doing this because they want to assure an MLS Cup. They're doing this because they want to compete with the Liga MX teams. And because Jorge Mas came out and said, my goal and our goal is the CCC, and he's showing it. He's backing up the words, because this is how you win the CCC.
Well, and we have an important question relating to that I'm going to ask you later. And you haven't told me what you thought about this pre-show. I kind of mentioned it, but I haven't heard your answer yet. But I'm a little, I don't want to say confused, because I do agree with you. You got to have quality depth when you're playing in a Champions League, right? If you want to win, because there's going to be games that you're going to have to play, and you can't have a huge drop off of the backup. Mm-hmm. But they're going to have 3 starting caliber center backs. Tristan Blackman, obviously, defender of the year. Micael did not come back to MLS to ride the pine. He wants to play. And then, obviously, Maxi Falcone is a starting center back on a MLS Cup winning team. And he, had his ups and downs, but I'd say overall was a pretty good player. Now, you mentioned Tristan Blackman playing right back, but I mean, Facundo Mura chose Inter Miami over River Plate because I think they told him he was going to have a very good chance of starting for Inter Miami.
So, because he chose them over Racing. So I 100% think you're accurate. Now, on the Tristan Blackman front, he has a long history of injury.
That's true.
So I think that you wouldn't be banking on him being a full-time starter ever. He would be a depth piece, because he has, if you look, and somebody in our Discord sent a list of all his injuries in the last few years. He missed the last quarter of the season for Vancouver, and they played well. If Vancouver was smart, I honestly believe, whether the defensive player of the year or not, if Vancouver's smart, they sell high, because they have a lot of center backs of quality. They played well without Tristan Blackman towards the end of the year. I think if you have a chance to sell him for $3-4 million, you do it, because you don't know if he can stay healthy next year. I don't see how that's a bad move, because if he were to get sold, you have enough players to kind of fill in behind him.
Yeah, but is he worth $3 million? Because apparently the $2.5 million was rejected by Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to probably be $3 million is what they want. Correct. Is that worth it to Inter Miami? I mean, this is a team that have 2 center backs that are going to start. And you and I both know that the resources are limited. Is that worth spending that type of those resources on a potential backup? Why not just go get another center back on loan and not spend $3 million on them?
The biggest reason I don't see why it makes sense is because they have a Lujan and they have a Toto Aviles, which is still taking up a U22. And that's why when I first started hearing rumblings about Tristan Blackman, it didn't make sense to me. After we've got Micael, because if we have Falcone, if we have Micael, I don't see where Tristan Blackman fits. Because you still have Lujan, which is going to be almost impossible unless you buy him out to get rid of, because he's getting paid almost $1 million and he is a backup. Like, there's no question. And Toto Aviles is a U22 initiative player, and you need that roster spot to add another young player. And we're not going to be able to move him on. Nobody's going to take him unless it's the summer transfer window where teams are just starting off their season and they want to take a flyer on him, unless Tata Martino wants him in Atlanta, which I doubt. But that's why I've always thought that the Tristan Blackman thing didn't make sense to me. But I've heard it so often over the last week that I think that they might be willing to kind of just roll the dice just to show how badly they want the CCC. But I'm with you. I don't see where he fits. I think that it might be more of a luxury than a need, because for what you say what you want about Toto Aviles, outside of his random boneheaded play here or there, when he plays, he looks like he could be good. He just has that random boneheaded play. But, this is what big clubs do all around the world. Yeti Mina has a good couple headed goals in a World Cup for Colombia. Barcelona absolutely has no need for him, but they go ahead and they buy him anyway. Real Madrid buys Jaime Rodriguez after the 2014 World Cup. Why? Because he had a good World Cup. Did they need him? No, they had Toni Kroos, they had Luka Modric, they had Casemiro waiting in the wings, but they bought him anyway. Like, this is what big clubs do. This is what Miami's trying to bring to the MLS. It's just it looks weird because we're not used to it.
Yeah, I still think it really is. Yeah, I understand you can have depth. I mean, you can't just have 11 good players. You need to have like 18 solid players if you want to be a great club. But just in MLS, it doesn't feel like that's the most effective way of spending the resources. But you spoke about U22. They are reportedly going to trade for a U22 player or buy from the Portland Timbers and David Ayala, the midfielder, defensive midfielder, and maybe he will compete to start next to Rodrigo De Paul against Yannick Bright, which is sad because I like Yannick Bright. I wish he was going to play, but it just seems like maybe Mascherano is not a big fan of his. We'll see. If they do trade for him or buy him, they already have 3 U22s right now. They've got Toto Alvarez, they've got Matteo Silvetti, and if I'm not mistaken, Talasco Segovia is also a U22. So they're going to have to move off of one. Well, how are they not going to have to move off one?
Because you get to pick your designation. You could either be 4 U22s, 2 DPs, or 3 DPs, 3 U22s. At the moment, they only have Messi and Rodrigo De Paul as the 2 DPs, and it looks like that's going to be the designation that they roll with to start the season. You're allowed to switch that designation in the summertime, and I told you, and I've told everybody on our shows, whether it be the MLS show, Inter Miami show, whatever it is, no big names are coming this offseason.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Before the World Cup, no big name player is going to come and take the chance of jeopardizing their spot on their national team for the World Cup by coming to what it's considered, unfortunately, let's be transparent about it, and let's be honest, it's looked at as a lower lead at the moment. So they're not going to risk that. It's going to be a fun summer transfer window because I promise you big names will come then. But right now, there's no need to have an open DP spot because you're not going to fill it. You're not going to get anybody. Maybe in the summertime, I'm hearing that Griezmann is a real possibility for Miami in the summertime. But as of right now, that's not happening. And so it makes sense to roll with the 4 U22s, the 2 DPs. And when the summertime comes, you either figure out how to move on from Toto Aviles. Segovia might want to roll out also because I think Segovia is not going to get the playing time he wants maybe this year. And I think that he's going to be wanted. When we brought him in, there were European teams that were looking into him. I forgot what teams in Germany were looking into him. So I think he can move on easily in the summertime also. So we're going to start with 4 U22s, 2 DPs, and in the summertime, expect us to change to 3 and 3.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone listening to this, but if I'm not mistaken, though, you're right. They can change their designation at the summer point. But the problem is if you go the 4 U22s and the 2 DPs, you get an additional $2 million in GAM. Now, if you change your designation, you can't use that $2 million in GAM because everybody would do this. Everybody would have the 4 U22 designation at the beginning of the year just to get the $2 million in GAM. So they can't use that money, or they'd have to roll with the 4 U22s for the rest of the 2026 season.
I don't think they're worried about the $2 million in GAM, honestly.
Well, but that could be some money they're using to get Tristan Blackman. I mean, $2 million. They're probably going to trade GAM to get him because they're not going to do a cash offer. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but when we're talking about limited resources for Inter Miami and every MLS team, they're not like there's a lot of GAM. I think that every team has like $4 to $5 million per year of GAM before the additional $2 million. So if they spend that money, though, they're locked in with the 4 U22s and the 2 DPs for the rest of the year.
If they came in with the 3 DPs right now, they would still not have those $2 million. I don't think that they're worried about that right now. Their mind is to end the season with 3 DPs. So maybe if those $2 million are offered to them or available to them, maybe they will use it. But they're going into the season knowing that they're going to have 3 DPs by the end of the season. They're just not going to have it right now. So that's their mindset. With what they do with those $2 million, maybe they do use it, and I don't know what happens after the fact. But right now, their focus is on right now the CCC, and that's the goal. They said that that's the goal. June 2nd, we'll know if Miami met their goal already by June 2nd.
Okay, well, let's get into the most important question of the show. Okay, so I asked you this before the show. I'm going to ask the audience as well. I tweeted this yesterday because of all the rumors of who we've heard they want to get, right? And all the players they've added. They've been very active. I think they've been the most active team in Major League Soccer. But like you said, the Champions Cup is what is the main focus of this team in 2026. MLS Cup, sure, they'd like to win it. That's obviously on the agenda, but Concacaf Champions Cup is the main focus in 2026 for Inter Miami. So I said, if Inter Miami don't win the Concacaf Champions Cup, It would be the biggest failure in MLS history, in my opinion. But I do think they will win because of what they've added. What is your reaction to that statement I made? Do you agree or disagree?
I think they'll win. Yes. I think that to get to the Final Four, they have to be either Nashville or Ottawa, and then they have to be either Club America or Philly. Um, I think that they can win. Will it be the biggest failure in MLS history? Uh, I would venture to say yes. I'm trying. I'm since you kind of talked about this before we started recording, and I've been thinking about it since, trying to remember other failures. And yeah, I would assume so, just because of the team that they've constructed, right? Because of all the finger pointing that there is with the way this roster looks. Not only will it be the biggest failure, but then it'll end up being the biggest laughing stock, which is kind of crazy, right? Because you would figure that MLS teams, kind of like they wanted, like how many MLS fans were watching Celtic, or at least following along what was happening in Celtic with Wilfred Nancy? This everybody, right? Because they wanted MLS to succeed. But I feel like in the Champions Cup, if they get, put up against a Liga MX team, I have a feeling that people might not want Inter Miami to win, as crazy as that may sound, because I think it's good for the MLS. And I think it'll show other owners like, hey, this is possible. We can compete against Liga MX. You just got to spend some money. Obviously, I know Messi is a whole nother unfair advantage, but I have to agree. I've been trying to think of a bigger one, and I can't come up with any. Just because there's never been a roster like this constructed before. Last year or this year, this would be the biggest failure since last year's debacle against Vancouver. So,
well, listen, here's my points why I think it'd be the biggest failure in history. Well, you have Messi, right? He's the biggest soccer star, biggest athlete of all time, probably, right? I mean, he's in Miami. He's expected to win trophies and help propel this team to heights it's never been at. So that's number one, right?
Right.
You just said a very important thing. They have had a killer offseason getting depth to be able to beat these Liga MX teams, something that most Major League Soccer teams always struggle with down the stretch, regardless if they make it to the final or not. They always struggle with depth, and they're tired and all kinds of different things. They have tried to alleviate that and get as many good players as they possibly can. That's another point. Also, and maybe I'm wrong, let me know, guys, if you know of another instance. When has an owner ever came out right after an MLS Cup and said, our sights are on the 2026 Concacaf Champions Cup? The owner of the team literally came out, made a statement saying, we want to win the Champions Cup. We are going to do everything in our power to do this and win. Now, yes, I know the owners want to win if they know what the hell it is, because maybe some owners don't even know what it is. But the owner has literally came out and said, I want to win this. So he's putting a target. He is putting a expectation on this team. He knows. That is another reason why I think it'd be a failure, because everyone is aware of what's going on. So that's another layer.
I wasn't a huge fan that he said that. I liked it, but at the same time, I didn't like it. I like it because I like the ambition. I didn't like it because, all right, so June 2nd comes around, we don't win it. So that's it. We didn't meet our goal, and we still got more than half of the season to go.
Well, that's a good thing about the schedule change, which we're not going to get into. That would be like the last thing of the season. But
absolutely.
That's why I think it would be. Now, there have been some disappointments, like LAFC losing in 2020, losing in 2023, the Toronto FC losing in 2018. There's been a lot of failures, but there have never been a team with as much hype in Major League Soccer, with Messi getting younger. This team is probably going to be better in 2026 than they were in 2025 because of the youth movement and because of the owner's expectations. That's why if they don't win it, something went wrong. Like, this team, the way it's being constructed, should make it to the final and honestly should win the final. It's all up to them and what they do on the pitch with Mascherano, and health obviously can play a factor, but we're not even talking about that. This is if everyone's healthy. I don't see a reason why they should not win this.
I'm with you on that. I think that the team that they're going to build should be able to compete and possibly win. Look, Liga MX teams are very good, and going to play in Mexico is no joke. So I think they can win. I think they will win just because of the Messi factor. That's kind of what I'm hanging my hat on. But the Mexican teams have great teams, and like I said, playing in Mexico is no joke. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it though, because they've definitely made it interesting trying to see. And don't be surprised if they win Champions Cup. don't be surprised. And I haven't heard anything, so this is not me just saying that I've heard anything like this, but I'm just going based off of the bravado of Jorge Mas. Don't be surprised if they win the Champions Cup. The next thing he says is, "We want in on the Copa Libertadores."
Be nice.
Yeah, I would. I haven't heard anything like that. I haven't heard anybody even suggest anything like that. But what's the next biggest thing? It'd be the champions of the Americas. So
No, I agree 100%. And and remind me real quick, they report to camp this weekend. Camp officially opens up next week.
Monday. Yep.
Monday. Yeah. So the season's right around the corner. It's hard to believe. Quick off season. That's what happens when you're the champs. Off season super short. It's quick turnaround.
Yeah, but I'm glad, man. I've been. We won the chip. What's today? Today's the 7th. So yesterday was a month, and I've been reveling in being the champs. But man, I'm ready to watch them play again already. So it's fun. I love these short off seasons.
Me too. I'm excited to get back to MLS. I miss it very much. It's exciting to watch games and see what happens and see how much teams have improved. But I have loved the offseason too, to see all these teams, what they do and who they're linked with to improve their team. Danny, before I let you go, well, first of all, people can see your channel because we're going to do the collab thing again. You should see Battered Herons and you'll see MLS Moves. Make sure you check them out there. But do you have any final words before you leave? Can you tell everybody where they can find your show at, or what days you guys normally stream?
We stream all the time. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, sometimes Tuesdays. I don't know. We're there all the time. So if you're into Inter Miami, check us out. If you speak Spanish and you want some Inter Miami content, Las Garzas, we do that in Spanish also. We used to do it once a week, which is on Monday nights. We're trying to push for twice a week this time. We're going to go Monday nights, Thursday mornings. So if you want Las Garzas in Spanish there. And then much like MLS Moves, we cover MLS also. We don't do it as consistently as MLS Moves, but, it's me and Chris. So we go ahead and we just have our fun talking about the league. So if you want some more MLS talk, you do that also.
My friend, I appreciate it. Good luck on a 2026 season. I'm sure we'll have you back on. I'm sure I'll be on with you. We'll see what happens. Right around the corner, man. I'm excited. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you like it. If you did, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.